Good morning, Wicked Edge users. This is Mark of the Wicked Edge Expert Corner Group, and I want to talk about micro adjuster upgrades for the 100 series. That is any of the models that uses a square bar, whether it be a Wicked Edge 100, a 120, or a 130. They all use some sort of a bracket with a guide rod. The Wicked Edge 100 has no adjustment other than you lock the bracket onto the square bar and use it like that. The 120 has a riser block under the vise, so it's a 100 that's elevated, and they took the non-adjustable guide rod ends and they made them adjustable with a screw that goes in and out, a micro adjustment. Okay, so whether it would be the early Wicked Edge 100, 120, 130 models, like 2016 and earlier, came with these big brackets and these big swivels, and some of them had wrench nuts on them, and some of them had hex. As the time went on, Wicked Edge modernized and shrunk everything down so the brackets became smaller. They are the same thing, they have just been engineered to be more compact. Of course, that is less machining and less expensive, but at the same time, by making it more compact, it made this distance between the guide rod ends and the jaw line bigger, so it made for better adjustability, better precision. So with these brackets, whether it be the little bracket from a 100, 200, or 130, 100, 120, or 130, or the big brackets, they all unscrew the same way. You take everything apart, everything off, so you end up with simply the bracket, and then you take the screws and install the screw through the bracket all the way through, and then you put on the lock wheel, which is included, and then the jam nut. You can see the jam nut here, the lock wheel goes on, the jam nut, and then last is the knurled knob. And the knurled knob, so you see, has some depth in there, so that gives you some adjustability on the length. You can have more threads up inside of here if you want to make this smaller. All of them work like this with the threads exposed off the bracket. That is what you work with. That's your micro adjuster distance. The older, larger brackets are the same way. You always want to work with those threads there. That's your micro adjuster. This one is taller above the square bar. Hang with me now. This one is a shorter distance above the square bar. These are meant to work. Micro adjusters, whether it be the original or the new modern smaller bracket, or any of the other models. Micro adjusters are meant to work with the threads exposed to give you the rotation, and you always want to keep it a minimum of a couple threads. When you back it off to make your micro go wider. If you're getting too close on that roller, then you loosen up the bracket and slide the bracket and bring some more threads forward and go again. You do not want to be forced by trying to go wider when you micro adjust with your cube. You don't want to draw those threads inside of the bracket because it works like a pinion puller and it'll just break that bond and this will come off. So it is important. You always want to work with that null, that little bit of threads. And so you know, I don't know the exact number. Tom from the forum, he's an engineer. He knows the distance, 1/4, 20 on the threads, what that means. And he'll tell you, you turn a half a turn, exactly how much of a difference that makes in the degrees. All I can tell you is I read the cube and I dial it in. Now, if you are working on the slide bar and you need to go closer, then you go closer by extending it out. But for the same reason that we use this, if you need to go closer, slide the bracket on the square bar and tighten it, and then go back to adjusting it by trying to keep that distance about the same. Use the bracket for the gross angle and keep your working distance the same. Don't get caught up on locking the bracket and trying to do all your adjustments with this screw, because when you run that screw way out like that, it will eventually stick out far enough that it's going to jam up on the square bar. It's meant to give you adjustment, but it's not meant to work like that. It's meant to, whoops, I don't have that. Bear with me. This is a 7/16 on the jam nut. I did not tighten this. I did it hand tight. So you see I'm putting the wrench on there and tightening the knob. And now it's holding it. So you don't want to back it in too far. And you don't want to go out too far. You want to find that balance and make use of your gross angle adjustments. Thank you.